every minute with the fever dreams. I push a mind to a limit where it needs to feed. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss. See, I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind, you know I'll always manifest it.
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick. Let's turn on the cameras. It's a little dark here tonight because I wanted to have it a little dark. Light has been bothering my eyes all day today. My eyes have been very sensitive for some reason. So I wanted the glow of the candles and to keep it nice and black. We do got some news to review. I don't think I want to cover any of that Mandani shit because the guys, I don't even really want to talk about him, but the guy is a true gaslighter. He's a true hypocrite. And New York, yeah, if you want someone that's going to promise you something and not deliver, that's Mandani. And I can't wait for you guys to suffer for the next 4 years. That's for damn sure. But I'm not going to go over any of that Trump with Mandani because I feel like that's a waste of time and a waste of energy. But I do have some other news to cover. And I also have, let me see what I got here. I also have some paranormal videos. Now, Kayla said she was going to come on, she was going to watch the show. If I was going to put the paranormal videos, I did say I was going to put one of these days for paranormal videos. And I am going to be part of the segment of the show. We're going to go over some paranormal videos, actually about 4 videos that we're going to watch. And that's after we get some input from some of the news agencies. And then I got 2 back-to-back Tyson De La Cruz. After we're done with the Tyson De La Cruz, we'll jump right into the paranormal activity. So let's not hesitate. Let's go ahead and set this up and see what the hell is going on in this world. Let me go ahead and and I was delayed on my show because I had problems with my setting up my show, but it is what it is. Okay, here we go. Let's make this nice and big and let's watch. There's a fire that happened at the COP30 climate conference in Brazil. This is what happened. Wow, that's a big fire. Holy shit. Talking about the climate. You guys are fucking up the climate there with that fire.
Caralho, muito fogo na Zona Azul.
Hey, LB, what's up? Got a little fire in Brazil. It seems like it would burn down the conference over there. And it was an environmental conference, and look at this. I think they had the Trump wizards there. Well, there goes the climate. You're polluting the climate with all that materials being burned into the atmosphere. Well, congratulations. Thanks for fucking up the climate even more with your bullshit. That's basically what it is. It's a fire that broke out inside the COP30, and it was massive. And I don't believe people got hurt, but I believe the venue got destroyed. Not good. I got a piece of medicine that I had from yesterday, and I got one beautiful one here rolled up. Smells good. That's for later. Let me set up some of these videos because I gotta get them resized. And I'm contemplating on maybe sometime this weekend on changing the setup here on my desk and on the channel. I think we're gonna go into holiday mode and convert this desk into some kind of winter wonderland, I guess. We're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out. Get into some decorating for the holiday season. So that's gonna be fun. We'll see how that ends up. But I got a really good paranormal video, so I hope Kayla comes on tonight and watches. See, I'm just resizing all the videos, so I don't have to do it later. But I hope you guys had a good Friday. I hope you had a good week. Congratulations, you made it to the weekend. Yay! And now we got to figure out how our weekend is going to be. It's going to be a wet one here for tomorrow. I'm already feeling it. My body's achy. I'm hurting a lot and I haven't been really feeling too good today. And the reason why I'm running a little late today too is because I was just getting things done. But we do got a lot of things to figure out. Why is this thing playing? I didn't even put this shit to play. Oh, what's going on here? Okay, let's set this up. All right, here we go. Let's continue on with the news.
The Justice Department is suing California Governor Gavin Newsom for allowing illegal immigrants access to in-state tuition benefits.
What?
DOJ argues this, quote, an undocumented immigrant living in a state is ineligible for any post-secondary education benefit unless a citizen or national of the United States is eligible for such a benefit. Out-of-state students at any University of California school can expect to pay over $50,000 a year in tuition.
Wow.
In-state students pay about $15,000. Reports show about 2,000 to 4,000 illegals attend UC schools, 9,500 illegals attend Cal State schools, and a whopping 70,000 illegals are enrolled in community colleges. John, this is so interesting to me because basically all of this came about because of this executive order that the president signed back in April. But at this point, out-of-state students are being squeezed financially, but these illegals, all they had to do was go to high school in California for 3 years, and they get the in-state benefit. Is it discriminatory against out-of-state students?
I knew being on this show sooner or later was going to get me fired from Berkeley. This is the moment.
Nice. Glad I'm here for it.
So I'm an officer of the university. So under California law, I'm not allowed to take note of the immigration status of any of my students. And if I ever try to cooperate with the federal government on immigration operations at the school, I would be fired. And already there's a long list of reasons Berkeley wants to fire me. This would just be the topper on the Sunday. But I think the statute is pretty clear. And I think you quoted it accurately in the lead-in. The states are not allowed to give in-state tuition benefits. We're talking about $40,000 a year in some cases. You can't give that to illegal aliens when you deny that to American citizens. Seems flatly clear to me. The lower courts that have run into this have all upheld this reading, and Texas agreed to stop doing this when they got sued by the Justice Department. So if California is going to fight on this when the law seems clear, when the other courts have said this is illegal, they're just pursuing their obstinate, pig-headed opposition to the Trump administration on often legal grounds that make no sense. Recall Newsom versus Trump, all these lawsuits, Newsom tends to lose these and Trump tends to win. And this is going to be another one.
To my other lawyer on the couch sitting here, Emily, the other Californian as well, along with Kennedy. But they're citing this 2001 statute that all students should be eligible for in-state tuition in California. But the laws have changed. In Oklahoma, actually, they lost against a similar lawsuit from the DOJ. Right. So there's precedent now, right?
As John's sous chef here. Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely right. And look, I'll say this because I think
the sous chef's always better looking than the main chef in every Korean
far
TV
less
show.
Experienced and skilled, and I object to the better looking too because you are. All right. What was I going to say? That you're right, and that all of this is sort of strategically, the Newsom administration uses this as a feather in their cap because they don't really reflect or cite the coda. So they say, Newsom v. Trump, see all this. We gave free tuition to illegals, but they then stop and omit, but then we lost in court. But then we realized per federalism, we actually were sort of subsumed by or overrun by the federal government coming in and saying, this is illegal and you can't do this anymore. So they still pat themselves on the back, is what I'm trying to say, for conceptually being in the court of these illegal immigrants. And they, by the way, deign to even address the discriminatory effect, and actually on its face too, against out-of-state students, right? Like they don't even go there because they're too busy saying, we are the champions of the illegal immigrant, and we don't even ask about status, and we refuse to go there. But the reality is, yes, they are losing all of these cases and all of these courts. And that's also why, in a good way, the activist judges at the lower courts that have been smacked down by the Supreme Court make it actually better, because the Supreme Court ensures that it is settled and incontrovertible in any way so that the activist judges have to come in line and can stop flailing about.
Maybe that's where this goes. Kennedy, this is a broader problem for California, not just the population exodus and the tax base exodus, but also the fact that, you know, the leadership there just doubles down on giving benefits to illegal immigrants at the expense of residents, or in this case, out-of-state residents.
Yeah, and community colleges in California are essentially free. That's why you see so many students who don't have legal status in community colleges, and that's fine. It's cheap for pretty much everyone. then that's great. That's what you should do. If you're really invested, that's what I did. I went to Santa Monica College for 2 years, got a Regents scholarship to UCLA, and essentially went to college for free. That system still very much exists. So, I encourage people to do that. And if there is such a need, then do some outreach. And why don't you drum up scholarships for these hardworking students who, through various circumstances landed in California? And if they're decent and hardworking, good. I'm sure there are a lot of people in organizations and charitable organizations who will help them out. But the ones who can't get into school, or the ones who can't afford it because they live out of state and there's favoritism shown to an entire group of people. Yeah, as a mom who's got one kid in college like Molly and one on the way in a couple of years, I look at that. I don't know that I would want my daughter going to UCLA because, they throw the doors open if you came to the country illegally, but God forbid you're a Jewish student, they won't let you in the library.
Well, and also, Molly, too, these universities, I think, are making a mistake because you're losing access to some of the best and the brightest from other states that could actually bolster and build your university, the research.
So this is just the type of headline that if you'd read it in the 1980s, you'd be like, wait, what? The DOJ is having to sue California for giving illegal immigrants tuition benefits at public universities. It's kind of insane. And we all act like it's normal and okay. And you realize how much of a constituency for the Democrat Party illegal immigrants are, not just because of what they can do themselves, but what they can do to help float other constituencies like the public university system, or how they can make congressional districts more favorable for Democrats. It's a big issue. And we are a country of law and order. We are a country of rule of law. And entering the country illegally, no matter how, bad your situation is, whatnot, we have to enforce our laws. And you cannot have one of the biggest states in the union just flouting it completely with the effect on the rest of it.
No, Gavin Newsom seems to think that he can, but he's the governor.
Hey, everyone. Campagno. Catch me and my co-host and Kaylee Mathy on Outnumbered every day at 12 p.m.
All right, Emily, we're going to keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
Anna Kepner, the 18-year-old Florida cheerleader who died on a Carnival cruise earlier this month, was honored during a celebration of life service yesterday in her hometown. But her ex-boyfriend is now saying there were warning signs from her stepbrother, who has been named as a potential suspect.
When I was on FaceTime with her and she was laying down and the brother tried to go on top of her, I was like, what the hell are you doing in the room, Then he got scared and ran away. And I heard his footsteps running through the house, because he got caught.
Joining me now is Fox News contributor and criminal defense attorney Josh Ritter. Josh, what do you make of these new details?
It's disturbing. We're getting this slow trickle of information, which is a little frustrating. But as we get more information, it starts to turn or sound at least much more sinister. I mean, initially, at least I would say that the official reports that we've been given is that we don't quite know if foul play was involved in her death. We know that certainly there was some person involved in concealing her body, but how she met her end, if there was violence involved or some other means, we don't know. But now with this quote that we just heard there from the boyfriend, it's starting to sound like our worst fears may starting to become true. And I hope that investigators start to be more forthcoming with their information.
Yeah, and now this step-sibling, the stepbrother suspect, who has not yet been charged with anything, but if that does happen, could he be charged as a 16-year-old, as an adult?
Yeah, I mean, every state has its mechanism for taking
those international waters,
those below the age of majority, 18 years old, and charging them with
crime happened in international waters.
These are the types of situations that we see that, especially crimes involving violence. If that is what in fact took place here, certainly a murder is going to qualify for something like that, where they might pursue it. It's up to the prosecutors. It's going to be up to Miami-Dade County. I think they have jurisdiction over this. It's being investigated by the feds, but they may hand that over to them. We'll see how this all plays out. But to answer your question more directly, yes, it's absolutely something that could be on the table.
And now we're learning that the 16-year-old was briefly hospitalized after the cruise, and also separately, his mom and his stepmother is pleading the fifth in a separate custody battle case. So this is complicated and horrific, and this innocent young woman lost her life somehow, and we're going to be following it. There's also this horrible situation that took place in Chicago on Monday. A man with 49 gasoline chased her, set her on fire, and now she's fighting for her life. 49 prior arrests. He's being now charged with a terrorism charge, and Mayor Brandon Johnson has spoken out about this, obviously condemning the situation as horrific, but also making comments saying that this is an isolated incident. What do you think about this case?
Well, that's the problem. It doesn't seem to be isolated. It seems like we're hearing these stories more and more often, and it's incredibly frustrating. I have a background in law, was a district attorney, and I knew how much we would look for opportunities where we could prevent future harm. Where if we had somebody in the system that we could do now, violence down the reach of that. Here, it does door situation where a person just continues to commit these low-level, petty-type crimes, even venturing into violence, and they continue to get released until we see something absolutely horrific like this. And then, everybody jumps on top of it to do something about it. It's point.
Yeah, and he had an ankle monitor on at the time of this burning incident because he had attacked a worker at a hospital, but despite a judge not arrest for him detained. So it was out, and now this is as a result. Really quickly here, when it comes to the terrorism charge, is that more serious than attempted murder?
It's not that it's more serious, it's that it's going to add more exposure to him. So he's going to be looking at more prison time if he's eventually convicted of that. And I appreciate that too. I appreciate even the kind of labeling of it, calling it terrorism, because that is essentially what it is. People heard day. This is the kind of stuff that fuels nightmares for people because we want to feel safe just going about her. So they're going to him out of this. I applaud it.
It's just awful. And now we're hearing that if this poor woman does die, this man could be facing the death penalty. Fox News contributor and criminal defense attorney Josh Ritter, we thank you for joining us.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Hey, I got some breaking news here. So give me a moment to set this up. But I do have some breaking news for us to go over. Yeah, it's a big one too. Give me a second to set this up. Come on, YouTube. I feel like YouTube is just getting stupider. Are you kidding me? Come on, YouTube. It's so frustrating. It makes you not want to do YouTube anymore. That's how frustrating it is with doing these changes. They did another update over here, and like I said, it doesn't make it better. Everything's just slower. I don't know if other people are having that same experiences, but I surely am. Oh Lord, we're gonna have to go over this Mandani shit. Fuck it, we'll go over one of the stories of Mandani. Okay, get this, guys, and have it ready for us to watch. So there's a few videos that are of interest, and it'll be good for us to watch. So, but I just wish there was a faster way of doing this. Okay, so first we're gonna go straight to the breaking news because this is huge. So let's go ahead and jump right here. Jump right over here. Slow as fuck, YouTube. And set this up and let's watch.
We're getting some breaking news in the newsroom. This is actually just coming in within the past few minutes here.
Why is it going
from
fast?
Marjorie Taylor Greene that she is resigning from Congress come January. Marjorie Taylor Greene, January 5th.
Ooh, Marjorie Taylor Greene leaving.
These moments ago, I've got it here. It's 4 pages long. I'm going to read this thing verbatim.
What's going on here?
She says, quote, "I represent and never fit in. Americans are used by the political and
She's leaving
industrial
the Republican Party, I'm pretty sure.
Parties, election cycle after election, hate the other side more. And the results are always the same. No matter which way the political pendulum swings, Republican or Democrat, nothing ever gets better for the common American man or woman. The debt goes higher. Corporate and global interests remain Washington's sweethearts. American jobs continue to be replaced, whether it's by illegal labor or legal labor by visas or just shipped overseas. Small businesses continue to be swallowed by big corporations. Americans' hard-earned tax dollars always fund foreign wars, foreign aid, and foreign interests. The spending power of the dollar continues to decline. The average American family can no longer survive on a single breadwinner's income as both.
She's gonna try to run for president. You know that, right?
And today, many in my children's generation feel hopeless
and she's not going to win.
And don't think that they will ever realize the American dream, which breaks my heart. I ran for Congress in 2020 and have fought every single day, believing that Make America Great Again meant America first. I have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, defending the First Amendment, Second Amendment, unborn babies, because I believe God creates life at conception, strong, safe borders. I fought against COVID, tyrannical insanity, and mandated mass vaccinations. And I've never voted to fund foreign wars. However,
yeah, running for presidency. The way it sounds,
has been
statement.
mostly sidelined. We endured an 8-week shutdown, wrongly resulting in the House not working for the entire time. And we are entering campaign season, which means all courage leaves and only safe campaign re-election mode is turned on. During the longest shutdown in our nation's history, I raged against my own speaker and my own party for refusing.
Yeah, you see, she's running for presidency
in order to pass a plan to save American healthcare and protect Americans from outrageous, overpriced, and unaffordable health insurance policies. The House should have been in session, working every day to fix this disaster, but instead, America was force-fed disgusting political drama once again from both sides of the aisle. Marjorie Taylor Greene, continuing on, and again, this is a lengthy statement. I'm only about halfway through this. She says that my bills, which reflect many of President Trump's executive orders, like calling for a new census, counting Americans only to draw new districts, making English the official language of the U.S., making it a felony to medically trans a minor, and other
YouTube
brings them to the floor for a vote. Many common Americans are no longer easily convinced by paid political propaganda spokespersons and consultants on TV and paid shills on social media, obediently serving with cult-like conviction to force others to swallow the political party talking points. Because they know how much credit card debt they have, they know how much their own bills have gone up over the past 5 years.
Yeah, she sounds like she's running for the
cost too much.
For presidency.
Their rent has increasingly gone up. They have been outbid by corporate asset managers too many times when they put in an offer to buy a house. They have been laid off after being forced to train their visa-holding replacement. The college degree that they were told to earn only left them in debt with no big six-figure salary.
Maybe she's going to The View
than ever on their own community streets. They can't afford health insurance or practically any insurance, and they just aren't stupid. These are the people I represent, and I love because that is who all of my family and friends are, common Americans. I've been blessed to represent the 14th District of Georgia for 5 years, which is filled with some of the most wonderful, kind-hearted, God-fearing, patriotic, and hardworking people you will ever meet, good, regular, common Americans. I've worked hard to bring taxpayer dollars back home in order to help district needs. I impeached Biden's Secretary of Homeland after watching my constituents die as he facilitated the dangerous open border invasion into America, and led the effort to defund hard-left, politically biased NPR, PBS, and the corrupt USAID and the chair of the DOJ subcommittee. I have fought harder than almost any other elected Republican to elect Donald Trump.
Yeah, sounds like she's either gonna work for The View for a bit, or she's gonna run for presidency. Oh, the Zohan guy.
I've had a lot of meetings with the heads of major countries. Nobody cared. This meeting that you people have gone, outside you have hundreds of people waiting. This is just a small little group. For some reason, the press has found this to be a very interesting meeting. The biggest people in the world, they come over from countries nobody cares, but they did care about this meeting.
The press was foaming at the mouth. They thought it'd be the biggest brawl since Zelensky.
Just days ago, you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views. And what I really appreciate about the president is the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers.
And I've been called.
He sounds like a puppet.
So it's not.
He sounds like a puppet.
Let's try that again.
He sounds like a puppet.
Affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
The name calling, that's politics. Trump's been giving it and taking it his whole career. This sends a signal to Democrats that Trump's really about business. And if he really was a dictator, would you let some guy come into your house and call you that? No. And did Mondami go in there and hide his face like Big Gretch? No. Zoran's mayor, Trump's president. So let's get down to it.
I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want New York City to be great.
Trump and Zoran want the same thing for the city. They both want it to be safe and affordable. They might not always agree on how to get there, but instead of bickering, they found common ground.
He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc. And we actually people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
Not just housing. Trump wants to rein in the electric company and help Mondami fight crime. Trump says we're not going to throw good money after bad. He's not going to be sending money for government-run grocery stores. We're talking common sense stuff that helps the middle class. Some of their playbooks overlap.
I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November. I heard again and again two major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis.
What in the war? We're not in a war.
Trump
Forever
looks at
war.
Zoran like young Bernie, political outsiders who have some
He
wacky
looks so
ideas,
fake,
but
man.
have compassion for the working man and a lot of love from their base. Some Bernie bros voted for Trump the same way some MAGA folks in Queens voted for Zoran. They have different policies with the same goals, making life more affordable for the average Joe. The difference between Zoran and Bernie, Mondani beat the odds and the establishment.
I think he's different. All right. I think he's different. And that can be in a very positive way. But I think he's different than, your typical guy runs, wins, becomes mayor.
Love him or hate him, Zoran's fresh. And Trump likes to get his hands on new brands. He can work with anyone, Jews, Muslims, communists, little rocket man. The New York relationship is based on action and results, not labels and insults. Zoran might be a communist today, but tomorrow, who knows?
He's going to change also. We all change. I change a lot. From when I first came to office. I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people.
Mondami might come to realize some of his ideas don't work. I mean, he really never had a real job before. He's a little immature, but with Trump's help, Mondami can help New York. And if he screws it up, that's on him. It kind of seemed like Trump knew Mondami said a lot of things to get elected and now knows he has to govern and might have it in him.
Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mondami administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would, especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought.
The president's giving the new mayor a fresh start and the benefit of the doubt. Whatever happens, you can't say Trump didn't try. This was great to see for the country. If Trump and Zoran can get along, we all can. Mondami came across as gracious and respectful, but he still stood his ground. Why is that so hard for most Democrats to do? Mondami acted like more of a man, more of a problem solver than Schumer, who's 3 times his age.
Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party?
I'll let you answer that. Do you consider yourself the leader of the Democrats? I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City.
Humble, too. Huh. There could be a new movement forming. Left-wing and right-wing populists have the potential to unite to fight for the working class. If they can't unite, well, then one has to crush the other. I think we know who wins. But Trump's outflanking Democrats here. He grabbed the only guy they have focused on the cost of living and the quality of life and brought him under his wing. Mondami and Trump both make establishment Democrats look petty and ignorant, old and feckless. The media couldn't process what happened.
An extraordinary, flabbergasting scene in the Oval Office today. While some may have expected tension or even fireworks in the first ever meeting between New York City's first ever Muslim mayor and the first president to ever have called for a ban on all Muslims entering the country, instead we got handshakes, pats on the back, niceties. No, really.
After all these years, they still don't get the guy they report on every day. They thought Trump was going to go waterboard him and shave his beard and send him back to Africa. Obama doesn't like seeing his Rainbow Coalition rally around a skinnier messiah with a funnier name. Barry's trying to make himself the mentor-in-chief. Barack and Pelosi huddled dozens of Democrats into a house and gave them a little pep talk. Obama put out some soda, water, crackers, and crudité, and gave Democrats his keys to success. I get feeling discouraged sometimes. I get feeling worn out, tired, and embattled. But in our second term, we used to pass out stickers. We do not succumb to cynicism. Cynicism is our enemy. Stickers? That's Barack's cure? Don't be cynical? That's your pep talk?
Stickers.
He says he wants to build a party that can survive without him. Barack's been out of office for a decade. Take a hike. Republicans aren't asking George Bush for help. They grew into a new party and let Bush enjoy retirement. The Obamas should do the same because they're not really helping anyway. The brothers didn't listen to Barack. And now Michelle's saying America's too sexist for a lady president. MSNBC is MS angry.
It's just an insane conclusion to draw. Aside from the fact that that's just so destructive and ridiculous and sexist and wrong, if people want to backlash the antidote to Trump, in many cases that is women, that's women of color.
Yeah, Kamala Harris is why we should nominate a woman again.
We agree. Kamala should run again.
Not that crazy,
When MS and the Obamas are brawling, you know the base is breaking. And they're not just broken, they're broke. The DNC had to take out a $15 million loan last month because they blew all their cash to win a few blue states 3 weeks back.
Damn.
They got some power back, but they still can't get it together. The Sombrero Boys botched the shutdown, and now the Epstein files are exploding like a Coke boat. They thought they could Epstein Trump, but it ricocheted and hit them right in the Harris.
Madam Vice President, can you tell us why your administration didn't release the Epstein files? Can you tell us? 4 years, you guys didn't do it. What's your take on it?
Can't answer. She's
Now the
full
whole
of
country
shit.
knows
That's
that
why.
a pedophile funded their party while they begged him for dinner dates and dating advice and texted about TDS. But if you think that's wrong, you're racist.
The idea or the audacity
to decide that you
This one's a
want
clown.
to strip a black woman of her committee assignment because she was texting with Epstein, but you don't even want to dig into the nitty-gritty about what the president of the United States was up to?
Bill and Hillary Clinton have their depositions
Bill and Hillary, you
scheduled
talking
in just
about?
a few weeks. Comer says if they ditch, that means
Talking about the
contempt,
Clintons, not
and
Trump.
Contempt could mean jail. How much you want
Which
to bet
president
Bill
are you talking about?
transitions so he can serve time in a women's prison?
Crack is
Ladies and
full of
gentlemen,
shit.
do you really think that Donald Trump is going to sign off on releasing the Epstein files and not have a boatload of stuff that he's going to throw in the Democrats' direction? Trump has become a verb. He's trumping the Democrats at every turn, playing them like a fiddle.
Every time Democrats try to light the fire of resistance, they end up burning down the party. Now, Eric Swalwell wants to rise from the ashes like a phoenix.
I came here tonight, Jimmy, to tell you and your audience that I'm running to be the next governor of California.
Is California ready for First Lady Fang Fang? It's anyone's race. He's up against Katie Porter, who scolded her husband with a steaming pot
Lord.
of mashed potatoes and storms out of interviews if she doesn't like the cut of your jib.
Oh, Lord.
Once he beats the mortgage fraud rat, I'm sure he'll clean Katie's clock. Why is it that every Democrat has baggage? A House Democrat just got indicted for stealing $5 million in FEMA funds. $5 million. She's accused of funneling the money to a family company and then kicking it back to her campaign.
Wow.
But if you believe that, you guessed it, you're racist.
It's an unjust indictment, and it seems like these intimidation tactics have been pervasive. If this is what Congress is becoming, where they're always trying to intimidate you, scare tactics, especially attacking minorities, black and brown people.
Oh, Lord. There's the race card.
She got caught with her hand in the cookie jar and blamed whites for noticing. Every time a Democrat steps in it,
No
Brooklyn Barack
accountability,
takes another
man.
lump.
No fucking accountability.
All concerned that the recent allegations against Democrats, such as communicating with sex offender and embezzling FEMA funds, are going to harm the momentum that your party carried out of the elections earlier this month?
We're going to continue to focus on the issues that matter for the American people.
What's wrong with his hand?
Affordability.
Why he always has to like
Just
point with his
saying the
fingers
word
and
affordability
move his hands
doesn't
like
mean
that?
you're focused on it. You actually have to do something. Stealing money and committing mortgage fraud only makes life affordable for them, not the rest of the country. What is the Democrat plan for affordability besides stealing money and committing mortgage fraud? We don't know. Trump's lasered in on prices. That's why Zoran's in town. The only thing Democrats are focused on is themselves and getting out of trouble. A Democrat in Tennessee just got caught calling her whole city deplorable.
I hate the city. I hate the bachelorettes. I hate the pedal taverns. I hate country music. I hate all of the things that make Nashville apparently an it city to the rest of the country, but I hate it.
So her name's Afton Ben. She also said her state's racist and sororities are white supremacy. It's been a rough week for Afton.
I look a little rough. I have bags under my eyes because the Republican eye of Sauron has finally shifted towards moi. Sure, I get mad at the Bachelorette sometimes. I get mad at the pedal taverns, right? And you're talking to someone who has cried no less than 10 times in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
That's what Democrats are missing. They don't love people. They hate people. Mondami and Trump have that in common. They love people. They love the people they represent. Maybe they have different plans, but they're men of the people. And that's what their focus is on, not themselves, workers. If all politicians could look out for you instead of themselves, this country would take off. So if Kami Mondami's
whose hand is up his
and
ass.
the Bernie bros want to flirt with America first, Trump's got a big tent, and he's not going anywhere.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal. Absolutely. I always said, one of the things I would love to be someday is the mayor of New York City.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube?
Hey,
Become
Trump
a
can
Fox
run
News
for
patriot
mayor.
today. Click join to find out.
Marjorie Taylor Greene resigns from Congress. Yeah, that girl's gonna go work at The View for a little bit. This is what I'm feeling. She's gonna go work at The View because The View's offer her some money, and she's gonna take the opportunity, go on The View, bash Trump for the next three years, and then she's gonna announce that she's gonna run for presidency on The View. and she's gonna go against and try to go against Vance, and she's not gonna win. So, that girl, she's like, she went so, and she showed her true colors, and the reason why I know when she showed her true colors is when she went after one of the Democrats, right? And she got like really aggressive. Okay, I mean, to the point where she was calling the lady like fake nails, fake was eyelashes, fake hair, fake, like she called her out in Congress. I was like, what the? That's where I kind of like looked at her. I was like, something's wrong with this chick. Like I didn't like that because like, why are you gonna like come hard like that on a colleague? Someone that you run into daily in Washington. So like, but she's been a flip flopper, and she continues to be a flip flopper. And I think she's going to try to run for presidency as a flip flopper, which is crazy. All right, let's continue. Got a couple of more news, and then we're going to get into the paranormal stuff. Don't worry, the night is still young. I'll probably be here for a bit. I just had that only, it was the only like breaking news. I was like, okay, Marjorie's gone. Now what? You know what I mean? Let's see. Melanie King is coming out with some good stuff. I gotta watch it. She just came out with a video 22 minutes ago. So I gotta watch it in a little bit. Well, probably after the show. I'm not gonna watch it on here. Yeah. I just noticed like maybe because this is part of the Wicked, so I don't mind watching this. Yeah, because these people are crazy. Like Ariana Grande and that Cynthia Erivo. I call it the it, you know, and like Ariana Grande, she's so fucking like such a hypocrite. Like it shows like the fakeness in her, like she's like pure like fake, and people go crazy, for this fakeness. But they did in the and at the it come some of them premiere openings around the world. They were really awkward, like super awkward, like so awkward, like touchy feeling and holding hands and, oh, let me fix here and fix there, and like it got fucking weird. I mean, I'm just trying to keep it fucking short. The movie, the second one was not good compared to the first. The first one, I mean, the setup was really good. The flow, the music. I felt like I was more entertained in the first movie. The second one, this one, that the Wicked for Good, this should have been the middle child movie. There should have been 3 parts to this movie. For one, there should have been 3 parts, but they put the middle child with the ending together and created the bullshit that they put up. And I don't like that. I don't like the rush of the movie, and then how they like silhouetted like Dorothy, and that Wizard of Oz part of that movie, which was a very big franchise, bigger than Wicked. Hello, and yet you're just like downplaying them, like downplaying the Wizard of Oz. I don't know. It was very awkward. because I grew up on The Wizard of Oz, especially the black and white. Yeah, well, let's take a look at the story, because these people are very touchy feely, especially uh the two co-stars on like Ariana Grande, and let's call it because I don't want to call her by her name. Like, okay, okay, I won't call you by your name. I'll call you Man of the Year. How about that? Man of the like GQ Man of the Year. I don't know how you grew a dick, but maybe you're a dickhead, and they like gave it to you because they saw a big cock in your head, and they're like, "Yep, she's a dickhead. Let's give it to her. Man of the Year. Give it to the thing." And she go up there with her skeleton like self, collecting the award and the money that comes with it too. It's stupid. All right, let's check this out. Oh shit, the volume.
I'm not sure I can even hate watch this. It looks just painful.
It does. And of course, this trailer comes on the heels of the Royal Variety performance at Royal Albert Hall. Pictures dropping of the Princess of Wales and Prince William cuddling with Paddington Bear. Meghan's always there to interrupt great press for the British royal family. But Meghan giving Christmas advice, even though the majority of her own family don't even know her telephone number, is charming. This is not a holiday party. That is a witness protection program. Her Christmas message might start with peace on earth and goodwill to all, but it just doesn't extend to anyone she's actually ever met.
And that was apparent at her wedding, which I pointed out at the time when everyone adored her and they all thought I was being terrible. But other than her mother, there seemed to be really no cousins there, and her siblings, her dad wasn't there. And long-term friends as well. The red flags were there early with that one. Now, let's stick with Meghan. She sat down with Harper's Bazaar for another tell-all interview. Kinsey, for the cover, she went without makeup, it seems. Did she reveal anything interesting?
Of course not. Here are some highlights. Yeah, here are some highlights. Even if there's no one else there, Meghan makes staff announce her in a room as the Duchess of Sussex. I kid you not. And she pauses mid-interview. No, wait. She pauses mid-interview to take a photo of her own face in the foam of her cappuccino. The article claims that Meghan is an authority on parenting in her friend circle because she uses things like apps. And Meghan drops moments of brilliance like, if you overwork the dough, it's not going to rise. I like to imagine that when Oprah asked her if she was silenced or silenced, that is what she was held back from sharing with the masses.
She has to be announced. Don't just go up past that like it's nothing. People have to announce her official royal titles. Let's not forget she walked away from her duty, so she's got those titles without any sort of work. And yet she uses them to that extent. I doubt Prince William would be using them to that extent.
No, it's just her and the author of this piece that are in this home. And the author of this piece is like, it's just the two of us, but she's announced as the Duchess of Sussex when she walks in. Like, even the author, who is very generous to Meghan throughout this article, is like, that's weird.
Wow.
It is weird. And Prince Harry is going to be the keynote speaker at a political affairs conference in Canada. Organisers of the event said Harry will bring a powerful message of service and leadership. Kinsey, are they kidding? Again, another one who walked away from his duty to be a full-time celebrity.
Exactly. It's basically pay to play at a Hilton in Toronto. Harry is speaking at a real estate event. This is kind of embarrassing to me. Not only is Harry totally not qualified to talk to a room full of entrepreneurs about leadership or real estate, but they are marketing it like he's a glorified mascot. For the right price, almost 300 pounds, you get access to a rejected prince in a Hilton conference room. I mean, these are the type of events I think the royal family were fearful of when they said no half in, no half in, half out.
Now, Kinsey, we finally have an explanation as to why Wicked co-stars Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo keep touching each other, seem to be obsessed with each other. Ariana appeared on
Here we
Amy
go.
Poehler's Good Hang podcast, and here's the explanation.
Here we
You
go.
like to hold each other's like hands and be there for it. It's very sweet.
Yes.
You like to do that with people.
I channel a lot of energy through my hands.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I'm always holding a hand. I'm always like squeezing a something.
Kinsey, she just sounds weirder. It's not really an explanation in my mind.
No, is that Gavin Newsom's excuse too? Is he channeling a lot of energy through his hands?
The
Because
train
boy,
of
do I
truth
be
is
thinking
here.
do some hand choreography. Yeah, she admitted in the past that her and Cynthia are insufferable and annoying while promoting these movies, so they are aware. But I think you and I were really dying over the finger holding. Remember last junket where she was like holding Cynthia's finger? It's the obnoxious conversations, it's the holding space. It totally distracts from the movie and makes us
Damn, the
uninterested in
train is
seeing it.
loud.
I think these two are just too much.
So true.
They are, and Ariana seems to be loving Hollywood, though. She appears to be making the switch from pop star to actress, revealing her 2026 Eternal Sunshine tour will be her last hurrah. That's a big statement to be making this early in her career.
I know, but doesn't it give you like flashbacks to Cher? Remember how Cher kept announcing that it was her final tour and it never was? She never, Ariana never gives us specific plans for her upcoming tour, but made it clear that she thinks that this is her final run for the foreseeable future. She explained that exploring projects beyond music has helped her feel more in touch with herself, and she's clearly handsy, and with her creativity. So, I mean, go forth. Good luck.
Very
Hopefully
handsy.
you're not as physical with your next co-star.
Damn.
Or they, yeah. I mean, it's weird that two characters like this have found each other, unless it's all an elaborate act, which many people think it is, that two curious characters have found each other in these film interviews. Wow. In fact, there's too much of it. I was going to play some clips this week, and there was too many. I was overwhelmed. Now, late night host Bill Maher has admitted that he stopped performing stand-up comedy over escalating safety concerns. Have a listen to this.
I don't want to be out there in this country, in this political atmosphere. I could get shot by the left or the right.
Yeah, well, at
I
this
mean,
point,
it's a good time to not be out there.
It's pretty sad, Kinsey.
It is sad. But he also said safety wasn't the only factor in his decision to step back. He admitted he grew discouraged watching other comedians draw bigger crowds. And he suggests on the show that his weekly presence on HBO's Real Time may be making his stand-up less special. He added that there's a generational shift in the audience as well that might be influencing turnout. But yeah, I think he's having a harder time looking at people like Joe Rogan, who is hilarious, a podcaster, and would draw a much bigger crowd than Bill Maher was. I mean, I really think it's less about the generational gap and more about just what we're into today. And it's Rogan. It's not necessarily Bill Maher.
Now, quickly before you go, text messages have revealed new details about the friendship between Bill Gates and convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein had written to one of Gates's apparent advisors about an opportunity to work together, but his then wife, Melinda, intervened and subsequently banned Bill Gates from contacting him. Kinsey, there was certainly a relationship there over the years.
Yeah, and actually in interviews since then, Melinda has alluded to the fact that his relationship and friendship with Jeffrey Epstein was one of the reasons she wanted out of their marriage. I mean, this was a huge deal to her. She couldn't stand him. But I loved the headline that talked about Epstein's lemon-shaped penis. Let's not brush past that. We have to acknowledge that.
Yes, deformed penis, just like Harvey Weinstein. So those two are Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein. Kinsey Schofield, thank you so much for your time.
That's sick. All right, let's keep it moving. That's crazy, right?
That is what is so scary. The agency confirming that the victims of 764 right here in North Carolina. We first told you about the danger of 764 earlier this year. Our investigation showed you how the man from High Point was arrested and is now facing charges waiting trial in connection with 764. In the 6 months since our investigation, the FBI says cases involving the violent network continue to grow and have devastating consequences.
Jay's not in my life anymore. I couldn't grasp that.
Leslie Taylor, along with her husband, share the heartbreaking loss of their 13-year-old son, Jay.
They took advantage of Jay's loneliness and his kindness, and then they completely preyed on his insecurities.
In an interview with ABC News, Jay's parents share how their son died by suicide. After authorities say a member of the FBI says members of 764 aim to wreak havoc and upend society by befriending kids on social media and gaming platforms before demanding often violent and sexual content from them. When we first brought you our investigation into 764 in May, the FBI said one of their alleged leaders of in our state works its way through the justice system. In May, our investigation, in collaboration with ABC News, revealed that the FBI was conducting 250 investigations across the country tied to 764 and similar networks. In the 6 months since, the FBI confirms their investigations have grown to more than 350. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says this year alone, it's on track to receive nearly 2,000 reports of abuse tied to 764 or similar online networks, much of it starting on popular online platforms. As for the Taylors,
I couldn't live with myself not making this push now, making it public, because if I read a story like Jay's, after Jay's passed, we failed Jay in this endeavor.
they say they're now fighting for accountability from lawmakers and also online platform getting access to teens.
And when it comes to help for parents worried about whether their child could fall victim to 764, experts say parents can never be too involved, as you need to know what your kids are doing on social media, on the platforms, applications, and online games, as the dangers can just happen so fast. Also, make sure your kids know it is okay to come to you, educators or police, if they get caught up in online dangers. And lastly, engagement is key. The FBI also stressing this network known as 764 isn't just about financial gain, instead bringing pain, terror, and causing harm to people. So
That's wild.
Let's hope parents have those conversations.
You got online bullies. You gotta be careful.
Diane, thank you.
Especially those gamers that they be playing and they have chat rooms and they get infiltrated by certain people and they manipulate. It's crazy, man. I'm telling you, AI and people taking advantage of others is very high these days. They don't talk about it as much, but it's a problem. It's a big problem going on.
Taking us out to Indian River County, Florida, tragic shooting today where a deputy-involved shooting happened.
Another cop?
The deputy killed in that shooting. A procession just wrapped up in the area, and we want to go out right now to Fox 35 Orlando. Stephanie Papamonte with the latest here in this terrible story.
Yeah, just a truly tragic story out here that happened this morning. We are standing outside of the gated community where that shooting happened. And like you just mentioned, that procession just wrapped up about 30 minutes ago. And we saw a line of squad vehicles, motorcycles, and the ambulance carrying Deputy Terry Mashkow, along with deputies and officers standing there saluting the ambulance. A routine eviction notice call
I'm absolutely heartbroken.
turns into a deadly ambush.
Having to call her mom today, having to let her husband know. Absolutely
That's
the worst
crazy.
part of being a law enforcement leader.
3 deputies were serving a notice near Vero Beach when someone inside the home grabbed a gun and started shooting. The
Oh
Indian
my
River
God.
Sheriff's Office says that shooter is 37-year-old Michael Halberstam. The sheriff says his mom called deputies asking them to evict him. Deputy Terry Sweeting Mashkow was hit and died in the line of duty.
Oh my
and it's hitting her
God.
fellow deputies hard.
I've worked my entire career with Terry.
Oh my
and,
God.
As have pretty much everybody else at the agency. You know, we don't have a lot of people who have been there beyond that time. 25 years is a long time.
People who live in the area heard the massive response Friday morning.
We didn't hear the actual shot, but we heard all the sirens afterwards. It's terrible. I mean, we love our police officers, I think throughout Florida, especially here in Vero Beach, but to have somebody like that who's put in 25 years, it's very unfortunate, but a tragedy.
A second deputy
Yeah.
was shot in the shoulder and is recovering at the hospital. A third
Wow.
deputy was not hurt. The suspected shooter is in critical condition. The sheriff says they had been called out to the home 7 times this month and say
Holy
Halberstam
shit.
had been recently fired from his position at UPS and had written strange and terrible things on his Facebook page about the sheriff's office and his former employee.
This is not someone that was on our radar. This is not somebody that we were actively engaged with. This was a
Damn. AI is not that. It's in the infantry.
And Deputy Mashkow had been with the department for
No, infant.
25 years. The sheriff talked about how he knew her his entire time with the department. So it's definitely an emotional day for all of the deputies who were even here on the scene and within the department. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, Stephanie, thanks so much for those updates. Terrible story, hard for the community, but as you mentioned, they're so hard on the department. Thank you again for those updates. We appreciate it all right here on Live Now from Fox. And we want to play out just a little bit more of that a news conference that happened a little bit ago. Let's bring it to you right now on Live Now.
What an awful day. 6 days before Thanksgiving. Resident of the home was evicting her son, guy by the name of Michael Halberstam, born in '88. Our deputies and a locksmith were on scene in an effort to evict him. Court process, court paperwork, move him out of that house. While they were in the entryway, having just made entry into the home, Mr. Halberstam retrieved a weapon and he began indiscriminately firing at our deputies on scene.
Oh my God.
We had 3 deputies there. Deputy Tino Arisby has been with us for 25 years. He was shot in the shoulder. He retreated into the garage. I spoke with him down at Lawnwood. He's recovering.
Damn, but he's hurt.
But he's hurt.
Yeah. That hurts. Shot in the shoulder?
Terry Sweeting Mashkow, 47 years old, 25 years and 16 days of service with the Indian River County Sheriff's Office. Made the ultimate sacrifice today. And was killed in the line of duty inside of that residence.
That sucks.
Their sergeant was also on scene. He was not injured. He did fire. Deputy Risby fired. As we continue through the investigation, we'll know if Deputy Terry Sweeting Mashkow ever fired her weapon or not.
Probably not.
The locksmith that was on scene is currently in surgery in critical condition.
Oh shit. The locksmith too?
Bad guy is currently in surgery in critical condition.
The bad
This is
guy.
the second line of duty death in this.
He's in
100
surgery.
Years. This year is 100 years. We're wearing this badge this year for 100 years of the Indian River County Sheriff's Office. Today, I have the unfortunate task of telling you that we have the second line of duty death.
Damn.
Our bad guy has a 2006 narcotics charge and a
Oh my God.
2015 misdemeanor assault charge, both out of Virginia. We've had 7 calls to this residence all this month. Nothing before that. Almost all of them from the mother calling about him. and her decision to ultimately evict him. Our real-time crime center has been working on finding more information about this suspect. They've identified some strange posts on social media. They've identified that he was fired from UPS, that he made some terrible comments about them, and that he had been posting some negative items about the Indian River County Sheriff's Office on his Facebook page.
And you guys didn't pick that
This is
up?
not someone that was on our radar. It's not somebody that we were actively
Hello?
engaged with.
That was the updates there from the sheriff.
Wait
It's
a minute.
Terrible tragedy that took place earlier today out in Florida. And here's a picture of the fallen deputy,
thing.
Deputy Terry Sweeting Mashkow, who had more than 2 decades experience, dying today. End of watch there, November 21st, 2025.
Damn. That sucks. That sucks. But I mean, he made threats to the police department on his Facebook. You don't think AI could have picked up on that and alerted the police department? Hey, listen, you got someone here making threatening against the police department. Can you guys investigate this? You know, I mean, are we gonna use AI, to help combat these like when people make certain comments, and they're very threatening comments? I mean, AI should be able to pick up on that and alert the proper authorities. I think the future by 2030 will be like that. Like, your freedom of speech is your freedom of speech, but what you type, it has consequences. And what you put on the internet can be used against you in a court of law. Okay? So be careful monitor what you put on the internet. Don't just put anything on the internet. You are always being monitored. Always. So it is what it is. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, what's this? Oh, the teen thing. Let's see what this is about. The ship, the girl, the one that got killed in the ship, I guess by her. I'm thinking the stepbrother. Let's see what's going on here. Oh shit! Let me put the volume.
Deal for the 18-year-old who died on.
All right, let's put it
for breaking at 4. The cause of death has now been revealed for the 18-year-old who died on a cruise ship.
And we begin with that breaking news. A source told ABC News that 18-year-old Anna Kepner died on a cruise ship due to asphyxiation as the result of an arm across her neck until she died.
Shit.
Good afternoon. I'm Greg Warman.
And I'm Darlene
She
Jones. We've
struggled for her
also learned
life.
2 bruises were found on the side of her neck. Channel 9's Giovanni Diaz has been tracking new developments in this story. He joins us live from Brevard County. And Gio, what else can you tell us this afternoon?
She was choked to death.
Yeah, Darlene, we are still looking through the details we obtained, but as you mentioned there, a source who was connected with the investigation into Anna's death also told us earlier this afternoon that she died after someone held their arm over her neck for too long. That's also consistent with the bruises that were found in her body. Now, you may remember Anna's body was found wrapped in a blanket under life vests. Investigators had initially reported that her family went to check on her after she did not show up for breakfast. Anna, her father, stepmother, and stepbrother were all together on a Carnival Horizon cruise ship that left from Miami earlier this month. Her family said that the 18-year-old was sharing a room with her stepbrother, who is a 16-year-old boy. Court documents related to a different case involving Anna's stepmother show that 16-year-old is now a suspect in this case. The medical examiner's office has not released their final toxicology results, but our sources are also telling us that Anna did not appear to have any drugs or alcohol in her system when she died. Now, the FBI is the leading agency in this case because of where it happened. And so far, they have not released any information about possible charges against anybody, including that 16-year-old. That's the latest live here, reporting live this afternoon. I'm Giovanni Diaz, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
That's crazy. I mean, I hope more answers, more of the questions gets answered. That's a crazy case. That the boy did do something. Like, there's something tells me like he choked her to death. Like, young, dumb, full of cum. Like I said, 16 years old, young, dumb, full of cum, on a cruise ship, horned up, and I feel bad because like she got choked out, man. I always say eye for an eye. If you kill someone a certain way, that way should be done to you in return. It doesn't matter how. If you chop someone to death, well, then you should be chopped to death as a death sentence. If you choke someone to death, well, you should be choked to death also. Chain of Truth is here. Yeah, listen to the Chain of Truth. I hear it loud. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I hear it. All right, let's keep it moving. We're almost there. Close. We got a few more stories, and then we got some Tyson De La Cruz, and then we got some paranormal activity stuff to watch. So let's keep it moving. For the sound.
Urging the Supreme Court to side with trans athletes in a high-stakes legal battle over men and women's sports. The case concerns two trans athletes, one from West Virginia and one from Idaho, who successfully challenged state laws banning biological males from girls' sports. Many high-profile Democrats have endorsed a brief sent to the Supreme Court on the matter. Adam Schiff, AOC, Nancy Pelosi, and Ilhan Omar are just a few notable names. Also, though, absent from the brief, their signatures not there, are Senator Chuck Schumer, John Fetterman. Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono's team, however, is defending the Democrat proposal, releasing this statement. A categorical ban on transgender students participating in sports not only harms these students, but also subjects women and girls to harassment and discrimination. These bans are blatant discrimination, and the court should say so. To the rest of the country, most Americans widely oppose allowing trans athletes to compete in women's sports. This poll just from January shows nearly 80% of Americans, a majority of Democrats, believing that women's sports only belong to women. Now listen to this. This was interesting. Even residents of deep blue California are against the idea. 65% of Californians, with 71% of public school parents supporting President Trump's executive order banning biological males from women's sports. Arthel, I was surprised to see, even in California, those kinds of numbers. I mean, I've seen the polling 80, 90% of Americans don't want biological men in women's sports, but even in California.
I'm not surprised. So listen, transgender students have a right to participate, be a part of, they deserve to be a part of the school community, right? They should not be bullied. They should not be ostracized.
They should have their own
should not be made
group
fun of.
then.
But if you are born male, you have a physical advantage over girls who are born girls. And I don't think it's fair to the girls. So I don't think that biological males should play in girl sports. And so again, I'm not surprised. It's just unfair.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, Harris, to that end, I mean, AOC, Ilhan Omar, I mean, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi from California must have not looked at the polling in their state, or they don't care about it.
Oh, I don't think they care. I think that they are morally right on this issue, and that's where they want to stand on it. I don't think they're considering the young girl athletes who go up against what Arthel is talking about, and that is someone who is physically stronger and faster in all the categories compared with women, which is how we've gotten to this point in our history with us not sharing genders in sports. I mean, you think everybody who went previously, it's again, that permanence of history. It was fine for however many years, decades and decades, but now hinging on politics and a narrative that some want to run, they want to change it. I would say this, though. I am surprised that Democrats have not gotten more creative in this end. Like, why not come up with some sort of answers to this issue? Why not meet in the middle somehow? You saw Gavin Newsom trying to tack to do this before he decided not to. And so you already could guess that there were people in his state who didn't agree with the far left, more woke, if you will, to borrow that phrase, transgender ideas on men and women's sports. I do think that they can get creative on this. Maybe there's a separate but equal type of situation. I'm not sure. Maybe a third, but having raised a former gymnast, I didn't want boys on the floor with her. She could get hurt.
And interestingly, Emily, this was fascinating. So this is part of the Supreme Court case. This was one of the lawyers that's arguing in the case, Save Women's Sports Legal Defense. They noted this, and it caught my eye. One brief explained how the plaintiff in the West Virginia case beat 423 different girls 1,100 times, taking 57 medals that rightly belong to women.
Wow.
That is simply not fair.
It is not fair. And it's also obvious that there is a physiological benefit, an advantage that that biological male has over women. This, to me, underscores that this amicus curiae brief, like, they're not attorneys, guys. It's basically advocates, self-proclaimed advocates, trying to weigh in on a matter that's way over their heads. And I know that some of them have JD degrees, but it's obvious that they're not looking at this as an attorney. And the reality is that the Title IX, first of all, it protects biological sex. It doesn't protect gender identity. And secondly, as you know, under the Equal Protection Clause, distinctions of gender are permissible when in justified circumstances. We've seen that in the Supreme Court. We saw that in the Virginia case where physiological differences were underscored and highlighted. And the point, the broader point is, under the Equal Protection Clause, you need to ensure and that you highlight these distinctions and differences, because that's how it enables you to protect those that need protection. The blanket categorization, the blanket rules here do not work. And the law appreciates that nuance, certainly in this conversation. And then the irony, too, is that allowing men in the sports, these biological males, it creates sex-based harm. That is exactly what Title IX forbids. So all of their arguments are about the gender identities that people put on like a coat, while totally ignoring those that are born with a certain sex that have no control over that, no change. That's them on the inside, that they are the ones getting harmed by this.
You can't change chromosomes.
No. And unfortunately, those minds are the ones drafting the laws, which is why the courts have to step in and say, not anymore.
Benjamin, I do find it interesting. I mean, you've got 80% of America sending a pretty clear message. And then you've got 130 congressional Democrats saying, we're going to send the opposite message. And then the voices on the other side are few and far between. Fetterman's name isn't on it. Chuck Schumer, I was actually surprised to not see his name on this. Gavin Newsom, one of the few Democrats who's spoken out about this, and James Carville told me last week, my party should stay away from these issues. We're on stronger footing on, let's say, economic issues.
Yeah, and what is amazing is that after the election in 2024, we really thought that the Democrats would realize that they should come more to the center, that they should change these policies, which most of the country disagreed with. And they're not doing that. And they are aligning themselves more with activists than they are with female athletes. And I think that's crazy. And Title IX was about protecting female athletes. It was about protecting them, not erasing them. And I think that's something that effectively this would lead to. And one of the great dangers is if this Supreme Court did go through with this, it would affect so many other issues. It would affect locker rooms. It would affect, women's placement in a whole variety of different places. So this is, if it does... Scholarships. A whole lot of other issues. And so, no, this is something that has to end, but it's just surprising to see that the Democrats still feel it's going to lead to a political victory in some way. It won't.
Yeah, best of luck to those 130 Democrats.
Hey, everyone, I'm Emily Campagno.
Emily!
Me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee Meck.
Okay, girl. We got to keep it moving.
So a new report detailing one Islamic group's decades-long reach into the U.S. The report claims the Muslim Brotherhood shares ideological goals with Muslim extremist organizations and aims to influence and infiltrate U.S. government, educational systems, civil rights groups. Dr. Kanta Ahmed is a senior fellow at the Independent Women's Forum and a member of the Council on Foreign Relations and joins us now. Knows, I would say, as much about the Middle East as anyone in America today. Doctor, your thoughts about the role of the Muslim Brotherhood and what they're up to here?
Well, this is something we've been recommending over 10 years ago. I wrote an article to say that the Muslim Brotherhood should be designated a foreign terror organization. This report by the Institute Studying Global Anti-Semitism and Policy shows the Muslim Brotherhood is influencing at the executive branch, it's influencing policymakers, it's reframing the argument. Post 9/11, there was Islamophobia, then came boycott, divestment, sanctions, demonizing Israel, and now we've just seen the pro-Hamas protests. That is all part of their multi-generational project to have a war against the secular and undermine our democracy using our democratic freedoms.
And one way that the protests on college campuses, and we see what's happening with our educational institutions, CARE. It's an acronym. What should we know about that organization?
Council on American Islamic Relations. This is part of the other organizations Senator Ted Cruz and Governor Abbott in Texas are designating as criminal transnational networks. It portrays itself to be advocating for Muslims like me, but actually it's advancing an Islamist project. What CARE did in California that's under investigation, they took money purportedly for Afghan refugees, helped less than 200, took half of that $7 million and put it back in their own organization. They're disclosing only small fractions of their lobbying, which they're then using to finance and support radicals on campus. So they are subverting our academic institutions in line with their Islamist goals.
So now that we recognize it, in fact, the Governor Abbott put this out yesterday, and here's a little of his missive. The Muslim Brotherhood and CARE have long made their goals clear: to forcibly impose Sharia law and establish Islam's mastership of the world. We hear that it's in parts of Michigan and also parts of Texas. Are they taking over small towns and putting these laws into effect?
So I would say their mission is to advance Islamism. They're doing that in many ways, but we're not the only nation that's seeing this. France published an incendiary report on the Muslim Brotherhood. They're using hundreds of nonprofits, charities, student groups, professional societies, undermining local government, putting in politicians that are sympathetic to their views or openly acolytes, and modifying and changing our democracy. That's happening here in the United States too. And while CARE was being investigated in California, it's still receiving federal funds.
Which is crazy. And by the way, here's their response. Got to be fair. They say this, does CARE, Greg Abbott's disregard for the First Amendment, his obsession with Texas Muslims, his dedication to protecting the Israeli government from criticism apparently knows no bounds. CARE Texas plans to continue vigorously to defend the Texas Muslim community from this governor's increasingly desperate, deranged attempts to shred the First Amendment. So that's their response. But I'm tired of hearing about, I have 3 pages of investigations. We don't do anything. We investigate. Why are they still getting money? Why are we pretending that this is an organization that seeks good, that has good intentions?
So Senator Ted Cruz's efforts should be hugely commended, and they're a blueprint for other states. Once these organizations are designated as potential FTOs or criminal networks, the finances can be opened. If they sue in retaliation, that will result in discovery, and you'll be able to see what's going on. So this is the first step. The second is that response you just read is typical. They're claiming religious advocacy, exploiting religious freedom and anti-discrimination laws while they subvert our democratic process. It's time to elevate reasoned, credible Muslim voices and learn from Saudi Arabia, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, France, that those Arab countries have designated this group as a terror group. Austria has done so, and we are about to see a lot of Western Europe do the same.
And Democrats should get behind this. This is not a Democrat-Republican issue. This is an American issue. Doctor, thanks so much.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley
Yeah,
Earhart.
but it's still a
Click here to
problem to the Democrats. They do everything that's opposite. So it just is what it is. Let's keep it moving.
Welcome back to Special Report. Tonight we continue our series looking at unidentified, anomalous, say that easy, phenomena, what many people still call UFOs, UAPs. Last week we spoke with the director of the Age of Disclosure. It's a new documentary out about a suspected government cover-up over UAPs for decades, which debuts tonight in select theaters around the country, is also available on Prime Video. It's powerful. It features testimony from 34 former and current government officials, including witnesses who have testified before Congress. Earlier, we spoke with another whistleblower who is now a congressional task force member on the UAP subject.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
Well, let's get some insight into the UAP, or UFO, it used to be called, controversy, and what Congress is trying to do about it. Joining us now, retired Air Force Major David Grush, who has been a whistleblower on the subject of UFOs, UAPs, and government transparency. He's a special advisor now to the House UAP Task Force. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on, Brett.
So since then, people say, where is the evidence? What's happening? Why don't we know more right now, almost 2 years later?
Well, certainly the last administration didn't help, and my hearing, of course, was during the last administration, and they were not exactly super transparent on this issue, unfortunately. But now that the task force has been created, I've been able to, guide the members within the boundaries of what they're actually cleared for.
When people look at this, they look online, they say, there's a lot out there. There's a lot of people talking about encounters. There's a lot of people talking about videos, and we've seen a lot of that. Can we just cut it down to, you believe that we have encountered alien beings and that they've come to Earth and that we know about it as a U.S. government?
That seems to be the case. I don't like to characterize necessarily where they came from. They're definitely some kind of non-human sentience, but it is true, believe it or not, we've recovered the vehicles and we actually have physical proof. And I was actually partially cleared into some of those activities. It was beyond oral testimony provided to me. I actually had partial access to the data and actually read the intelligence reports resulting from those programs.
Where they came from. You saw it.
Yes.
And so when people say this is kooky, this is out there, there's nothing to back it up.
I don't speak for other parts of the government, but I can tell you NASA, which I speak for, is open and transparent with our data.
Do you believe what Mr. David Grush said, or is he lying?
Whatever he said, where's the evidence?
What do you say?
Certainly members of this current administration are very, very well aware of this reality. Certainly the current president is very knowledgeable on this subject, and I trust his leadership on it. And I think he's assembled an A-team cabinet, and I really believe if Trump wants to be the greatest president and the most consequential leader likely in world history, he certainly has the knowledge, the capabilities, and understanding of some of these sensitive government transparency issues.
I have access, and I speak to people about it. I've had actually meetings on it. People that are very smart and very solid have said they believe there is something out there. And, it makes sense that there could be. I've never been convinced, even despite that. I just, for some reason, it's not my thing.
So you think, one, he knows, and two, he's open to transparency on UAPs?
He certainly is very well informed on this issue. Leave it at that. I don't want to get ahead of what the president might want to reveal personally.
There's been a role to cover this up, you're saying, through administrations. And there have been people who have been threatened and told not to testify.
I was physically threatened even before I sent in my Intelligence Community Inspector General report under the previous administration.
Wow.
I actually had to go and seek legal protection that way because I was, literally in fear both professionally and in my personal life.
And when you mentioned in that testimony of recovering the pilots or remains non-human, that's something that you saw as far as the intelligence with your eyes?
Yes. And it is a very uncomfortable, even for me now, as somebody who's seen it, experienced it, even talking about it, because it's so outside a normal person's worldview to understand that there is this biological sentience that have piloted these crafts that don't necessarily look 100% like you and I.
Were there pictures? Were there?
There were. Yes, there were.
When I said from another planet or from outer space, you said we don't know where they're from. Is it interdimensional? What are we talking about?
I've talked to a lot of, I'll call graveyards on the program. That is a subject of hot debate on origin. As a guy trained in physics formally as well in my background, I leave an open mind on what the origin is. Certainly, there is the extraterrestrial hypothesis, and they could be coming from elsewhere off Earth, but I don't usually go there because I did not see that data, and I'm not conversant in the high confidence theories that the U.S. government had.
I'm not aware of any remains that the department has of any signs of extraterrestrial beings or activity or technology.
You say we, the
Yeah.
U.S. government knows, but there are many other governments around the
Mhm.
world. Do they know?
They have their own programs, and like I said 2.5 years ago, we have been in arms race with our peer competitors, namely Russia and China, and they have their own programs in this regard. And I was actually able to view a body of intelligence that discussed adversarial programs, and I'll leave it at that.
We've recovered things, you say, bodies and physical remains. Was there a sense that the motive of how they got here, what they were doing, was it peaceful, not peaceful?
We've seen a mixed bag of activity, and motive and intent, why they're visiting. That's once again, that gets into our assessments, not necessarily, we can't quite understand the intent of some of the sentients and why they're visiting. Could it be because we have interesting genetic material on Earth? We're a Jurassic Park tourist attraction for them. Could be a myriad of reasons.
For the other people who are coming out, you say to them what? You've obviously faced intimidation. You talked about harassment. There are reports that others have too.
I say that there's hope. Certainly, Congress values whistleblower information right now, and certainly I believe there's an appetite with the administration to do the right thing on this as well. And there's some other things that are happening behind the scenes that I'll let the administration discuss when they're ready.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your time, and we'll follow every element. It's fascinating.
Yep. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Sean Hannity
Very
here. Hey,
fascinating. All right, let's keep it moving.
Object which is flying through our solar system right now. It's only the third object ever identified to enter our solar system from another galaxy. It was discovered on July 1st of this year, but there is still so much we really don't know about it. Joining me now is Avi Loeb, a theoretical physicist and also a Harvard University science professor of science. Avi, thank you for being here with us. And I want you to tell us and also put it in perspective here. First, where is Theory Eye Atlas from? And also, where is it now? And how rare of an object is this to be in our solar system?
Thanks for having me. The object is only the third that we spotted coming from outside the solar system over the past decade, because we didn't have survey telescopes that are capable of finding such objects. But it's the third one and the most unusual one in sense of its size. It's the size of a big city like Boston, and a million times more massive than the first interstellar object. And we don't know where it came from. We just know its speed when it entered the solar system, which was about 60 kilometers per second. And we don't know how long the journey was, but it came closest to the sun on October 29th. And then now we can see it from Earth. It was on the opposite side of the sun. We couldn't see it during the month of October. And it will get closest to Earth on December 19th, about a week before the holidays. And the fundamental question is it a natural object, a rock covered with pockets of ice that get evaporated by sunlight, or maybe a technological object sent by another civilization?
So, NASA released those new pictures. We just had them up momentarily ago. They just released them this week. But they didn't really address a lot of the puzzling questions that you have brought up in the past. What would you like to hear from NASA and why?
Right. So there are some surprises about this object. It came along the plane of the planets around the sun, as if it is on a reconnaissance mission. And that's why it's so easy to observe it from months. The NASA should be grateful if this is just an icy rock. We were extremely fortunate that, the chance of that happening is 1 in 500 for it to lie in that plane. And moreover, it also has jets coming from it in all directions, not just in the direction of the sun. We don't know exactly how they are produced. We want to understand that in the coming weeks. Mm-hmm. And it shed also nickel with very little iron, and that's quite unusual. The only place we find it is in industrial production of nickel alloys. And it also has a glow that is ahead of it, and that was visible in the high-rise image from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter that was released by NASA. And it's just not clear. Why is there a globe preceding it in the direction of motion, not in the direction of the sun? And so there are lots of mysteries, and that's what makes science fun, because we can figure out the answers by collecting more evidence.
More evidence, that's for sure. And those are some of the anomalies that you wrote about in the past. I mean, from the jets, from the tail too, you're saying it's not really normal for an actual comet to do that. I also want to go back to the pictures though, because it is gained the attention of so many amateur astronomers who have used their own cameras to capture high quality images. NASA, though, releasing these pictures, you got to be honest, you look at it, it's pretty blurry. Is this acceptable? Were you expecting such blurry images to be made and released by NASA?
Yeah, the cameras that NASA used for those images are not optimized to observe this particular object. The best image was obtained by the Hubble Space Telescope, and we expect to get better images in December. There are bigger telescopes on the ground, and actually amateur astronomers in recent days got much better, with equipment that cost thousands of dollars. They got much better data or images than NASA obtained with $1 billion equipment. So I think we should expect in the coming weeks to learn much more about this object. And stay tuned. Hopefully it will not send any unwanted gifts for the holidays.
Yeah, and you mentioned too, it could be, you're theorizing, it could just be a comet or it could be something else. What is that something else that you have referenced?
The something else is an object that was designed to target the inner solar system, and could be a mothership that releases probes to the planets. So we should check out if there are any objects coming out of it in the direction of Earth or Mars. We have orbiters around Mars that can monitor for any new objects that appear there. And we can check for any radio transmission or any excess heat that is coming from an engine or any maneuver that the object makes. All of these are technological signatures, and we have enough instruments looking at it that we can figure it out if it turns out to have any of these technological signatures. And we should always remember the story about the city of Troy that accepted without any hesitation a Trojan horse that looked completely innocent. So my point is, when you have a visitor to your backyard, you better get as much data on it as possible, because it might show up at your front door.
I mean, it's a little taboo in a sense. I'm sure some people are watching this smiling in a way or grinning. It's a little taboo to even consider that, but it is interesting that you bring it up, saying it could be a comet or it could be something else, because as you said, you want to know who's in your backyard, right? Do you think, though, that NASA is willing to look at it from that perspective, or just write it off and say this is a comet?
Well, it doesn't really matter what NASA thinks or does, because there are hundreds of telescopes around the globe that will be looking at it. And we are not in the days of Galileo Galilei, when the Vatican or the church could tell the public, don't listen to one guy that says that the Earth is not at the center of the universe. Nowadays, it's impossible to block the flow of information. And my hope is we will figure it out one way or another. And science cannot be administered by bureaucrats. You see, the beauty of science is that evidence prevails.
Evidence prevails. All right, Avi Loeb, thank you so much. We understand it will be flying closest to Earth on December 19th. And of course, we're all going to be checking in on this, and hopefully we'll have you back on. So informative. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
December 19th. That thing is moving so fast. So fast. And it gets very little news. It's pretty unique. Okay, so we got back-to-back Tyson Little Cruise, so let's go ahead and jump right to that. And then we're going straight to the paranormal activity videos. So, all right, let's watch up on Tyson.
New questions for California Attorney General Rob Bonta tonight.
Is it legal? Is this a permissible use of campaign funds in California?
America, California Attorney General Rob Bonta just got caught spending nearly $500,000 of campaign funds on legal help amid a federal bribery investigation.
Damn.
The highest amount ever spent on legal services by any statewide candidate in California history. But here's what's really explosive. This all ties back to the massive Vietnamese cartel corruption network that I exposed 5 months ago, involving former Oakland Mayor Shang Tao. The Dong family shipping container scam, and their systematic bribery of Bay Area politicians. But here's where it gets even juicier. San Laredo City Councilman Brian Azevedo got hit with 2 felony counts and looks like he's going to become the fall guy who spills the beans on this entire criminal enterprise. Because here's what nobody wants to talk about. We're watching the complete unraveling of a Vietnamese cartel operation that turned Bay Area politics into their own personal ATM machines, and now everybody's lawyering up.
This was in February. Campaign finance records show he made 5 payments to a private law firm totaling $468,000.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. When the state's top law enforcement official is spending $500,000 on lawyers while his donors get indicted for bribery, this corruption goes all the way to the top. Let me start with the Bonta bombshell revelation about Rob Bonta's unprecedented legal spending. Campaign finance records show that he made 5 payments to a private law firm totaling $468,000. And this is just what we know so far.
And tonight we're learning Rob Bonta has spent a lot of his own campaign.
Any legal spending. This is the highest amount ever spent on legal services by a statewide constitutional candidate in California history. When the state's attorney general is spending nearly $500,000 on lawyers, you know he's in serious legal trouble.
After pushing for answers, we're getting a little more clarity when it comes to the $468,000 that Attorney General Rob Bonta spent from his re-election campaign on legal services and fees.
The law firm that Bonta spent this money on specializes in government investigations and white-collar crime defenses. When the state's top prosecutor hires white-collar crime lawyers, that tells you everything you need to know about how serious this investigation really is.
His campaign clarifying tonight that this money was used for him to lawyer up as he faced questions from federal authorities.
This is a sitting attorney general hiring criminal defense lawyers because he's being questioned by federal investigators about his connections to the indicted donors. Now, let me connect the dots to the marriage case that Ike's family, David and Andy DeWong, who own California Waste Solutions, donated a total of $155,000 to Rob Bonta throughout his political career, including $24,000 to his 2026 re-election campaign.
David and Andy DeWong were indicted during that federal probe.
The DeWongs weren't just random donors. They were running a sophisticated bribery operation that involved karaoke parties, $300 bottles of whiskey, and a shipping container housing scam designed to rip off taxpayers for millions. And Rob Bonta was one of their biggest political beneficiaries.
The Dong family donated $155,000 total to him throughout his political career. Bonta's campaign noting all of that money was returned after the investigation was made public.
But that doesn't erase the fact that he was taking money from people who were running a criminal enterprise. The timing of the return of this money shows that he knew exactly what kind of people that he was dealing with. The DeWongs used their legitimate waste management business as a front to run a systematic bribery operation across multiple Bay Area cities. They in karaoke and tried to cash in a $300,000 shipping container scam. Of the key witness in this case, Mario Juarez, who co-founded Evolutionary Homes with the DeWongs and is cooperating with federal prosecutors.
Attorneys for David DeWong have filed that motion. He's the owner of an Oakland-based recycling company, California Waste Solutions.
David DeWong's attorneys are filing motions to suppress the evidence, claiming the FBI agents didn't fully disclose Mario Juarez's background when they got the search warrants. This is a desperate legal strategy when you know that your client is guilty.
It's built on allegations from an unknown co-conspirator that we believe, when the evidence is revealed, will show that my client has committed no crimes.
But the evidence is absolutely overwhelming. We're talking about documented bribery, kickbacks, and systematic corruption schemes that span multiple cities involving millions of taxpayer dollars.
The motion to suppress also claims that Juarez is cooperating with prosecutors in hopes of leniency.
That's just how federal prosecutions work. When you're caught in a massive criminal conspiracy, you either cooperate or face decades in federal prison. The defense is grasping at all straws here. Here's where the story gets absolutely wild. Mario Juarez, the key witness cooperating with federal prosecutors, was targeted in a shootout at his home that may have been connected to his cooperation in this corruption case.
Mario Juarez is in a difficult place. He can't speak out because he could be a witness in that federal corruption case against former Mayor Sheng Tao and others.
But somebody tried to silence him permanently. This shows the level of violence and intimidation involved in this criminal enterprise.
You can still see a bullet hole in the rain gutter at Mario Juarez's house in the Fruitvale neighborhood, 9 months after the shootout.
This wasn't some random street crime. This was a targeted attack on a federal witness who was cooperating with prosecutors.
Oakland police made the arrest, but the DA's office, just days after Pamela Price left office because of the recall, allowed the suspects to walk without charges.
Oakland police arrested 2 suspects connected with the shooting, but the DA's office let them walk without charges without even informing Juarez that the people who shot at him were back on the streets. Now, let me tell you about our good old friend Brian Azevedo, the San Laredo city councilman who just got hit with 2 federal counts and looks like he's going to become the fall guy who spills all the beans on this entire criminal network.
Federal prosecutors charged Brian Azevedo with 2 felonies.
Azevedo is facing charges of conspiracy to commit honest service wire fraud and making false statements to federal agents. But here's the key. Federal prosecutors say they're close to a resolution of his case and don't expect a trial. When federal prosecutors say they don't expect a trial, that usually means the defendant is cooperating and willing to plead guilty in exchange for a reduced sentence. Our man, Brian Azevedo, looks like one of those pigs that's going to squeal on everybody.
But sources very close to the case tell me Azevedo has agreed to testify for the prosecution, and that typically brings reduced charges.
This means he's going to tell federal prosecutors everything he knows about the DeWong family bribery operation. Let me remind you guys about the core of this corruption scheme. The DeWongs plan to sell converted shipping containers to local government for $300,000 each as housing for the homeless. This was the scam that Brian Azevedo was helping them pull off. The DeWongs owned California Waste Solutions, which gave them legitimate business cover, but their real moneymaker was Evolutionary Homes. They were converting shipping containers into housing units. They were also trying to convince the city to buy these containers for $300,000 each, containers that probably cost 50 grand to build.
According to court documents, Azevedo is accused of trying to obtain contracts from the city of San Leandro for an Oakland-based affordable housing company in exchange for cash and kickbacks.
The plan was to push San Loreno to pass an emergency housing declaration that would allow the city to buy container housing without competitive bidding.
The indictment says the DeWongs promised bribes and kickbacks to Sheng Tao and her partner if the mayor purchased $300,000 container homes for Oakland.
This was a systematic bribery scheme designed to bypass competitive bidding and rip off taxpayers. One of the most brazen aspects of this bribery scheme was how the DeWongs funded lavish trips to Vietnam for politicians to seal their corrupt deals. Brian Azevedo received $6,400 as a quote-unquote gift for a 12-day trip to Vietnam. The DeWongs funded the Vietnamese American Business Association and used it to pay for their overseas trips. This wasn't just hospitality. This was systematic bribery designed to create personal relationships and obligations with elected officials. There were over 50 people on that Vietnam trip, many of them being big names of local politicians and beyond. This shows the scope of the DeWongs' influence operation. They weren't just bribing individual politicians. They were buying entire political networks. The fact that 50 politicians went on DeWong's funded trip to Vietnam shows how systematic this corruption actually was. They weren't just isolating bribes. This was a comprehensive influence operation designed to capture Bay Area politics. What makes Rob Bonta's situation even more suspicious is how this story about legal spending keeps changing. First, his campaign said the money was to help federal authorities with their investigation. Now he's saying it's for his own legal representation. The changing story, in my opinion, shows consciousness of guilt. When you're the state's attorney general and you can't keep your story straight about why you're spending $500,000 on criminal defense lawyers, that is a huge red flag. The fact that Bonta Bonta was considering running for governor while under federal investigation shows the arrogance of California's political elite. They think they can take bribes from criminal enterprises and seek higher office. What we're witnessing is the complete unraveling of a Vietnamese cartel operation network that infiltrated Bay Area politics at every single level. From the attorney general down to the city council members, the DeWongs bought influence across the entire political spectrum. Brian Azevedo's cooperation with federal prosecutors means that he's going to provide details about every politician who took bribes, every corrupt deal that was made, in every aspect of the DeWong's criminal enterprise. When the fall guy starts talking, everybody goes down. Rob Bonta's $500,000 in legal fees shows that even the state's top law enforcement official is worried about his exposure in this particular case. When you're spending that kind of money on white-collar crime lawyers, you know the feds have something on you. The attempted assassination of Mario Juarez shows how desperate these criminals are to prevent the truth from coming out. But it's too late. The federal investigation has already gathered the evidence, and now most comprehended by the DeWong family didn't just bribe individual politicians. They systematically captured entire political networks through lavish trips, expensive entertainment, and direct cash payments. Rob Bonta's unprecedented $500,000 in legal spending shows that this corruption reaches the highest levels of California government. When the state's attorney general needs to hire white-collar crime lawyers because of his connections to the indicted donors, the entire system is compromised. Brian Azevedo's decision to cooperate with federal prosecutors means we're about to learn the full scope of this criminal enterprise. Every politician that took bribes, every corrupt deal that was made, every aspect of the DeWong's influence operation is going to be exposed. The attempted assassination of a key witness, Mario Juarez, shows the level of violence and potential intimidation these criminals are willing to use to protect their operation. But the federal prosecutors have built their case, and now the dominoes are fallen. The shipping container scam that was designed to rip off taxpayers for millions and millions of dollars while pretending to help homeless people shows the cynical nature of this corruption. These criminals are willing to exploit homelessness and the housing crisis to line their own pockets. This case should serve as a warning to every politician who thinks that they can take money from criminal enterprises without consequences. Federal prosecutors are watching, and when you get caught, even the state's attorney general won't protect you. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
All right, let's go for a double feature here. Get Tyson De La Cruz.
This individual talking to me about a process. They've had several months to look at this budget. You can't just be a no. You have to find ways to actually come up with solutions so that we can actually have a real debate.
America, Chicago is collapsing in real time, and we're watching it happen because they elected an elementary school teacher to manage a $16.7 billion budget. Mayor Brandon Johnson is so desperate and incompetent that he wants to tax everything under the sun. We're talking about taxing employees, cloud computing, social media, and even grocery stores. Einstein would be envious of his brilliant ideas to destroy what's left of Chicago's economy. But here's what's really at it. While Johnson is desperately just for money out of taxpayers, Chicago public schools just got hosed for wasting $7.7 million on luxury travel, including safaris and hot air balloon rides. Because here's what nobody wants to admit. This is what happens when you elect somebody with zero business experience to manage a massive city budget.
That's crazy, Chicago.
Some key Chicago City Council members are urging Mayor Brandon Johnson to slow down on his $16.7 billion budget proposal.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. We're literally watching Chicago collapse because they put an elementary school teacher in charge of $1 billion. Let me break down just how desperate and incompetent Brandon Mohawk Johnson really is by going through his ridiculous tax proposals that would make even the most liberal Democrats cringe. This guy is literally trying to tax everything that moves in Chicago.
There are other controversial taxes, including a cloud computing tax and a first-of-its-kind social media tax.
Think about how stupid this is. Johnson wants to tax businesses for using cloud computing services and social media platforms. That is like taxing companies for using electricity or having telephones.
Dow is opposed to the employee head tax, which would charge companies with more than 100 employees $21 per employee per month.
But wait, it gets even worse. Johnson wants to charge companies $21 per employee per month just for having workers in Chicago. So if you're a business with 200 employees, you pay an extra $4,200 per month just for having the privilege to provide jobs for Chicago residents. This, my friends, is the kind of brilliant economic policy you get when you elect an elementary school teacher to run a major city. Instead of trying to cut wasteful spending, he's trying to tax businesses out of existence. Here's just how bad Brandon Johnson leadership has become. Even his own Democratic city council members are rejecting this insane budget proposals. When Democrats in Chicago think your tax ideas are too extreme, you've completely lost it.
The city council has overwhelmingly rejected a key component of Mayor Brandon Johnson's 2026 budget. This was a 25-10 vote in the Finance Committee, striking down $600 million in new taxes.
That is not even close. Johnson got absolutely destroyed by his own party because his ideas are so ridiculous that even Chicago Democrats won't support them.
You can't just be a no. You can't just be a no. You have to find ways to actually come up with solutions so that we can actually have a real debate.
Listen to this whining. You can't just be no. You have to find ways to actually come up with solutions. Really? How about this solution, Brandon Mohawk Johnson? Stop wasting taxpayer money on luxury travel and unnecessary programs. Then you won't need to tax everything that moves.
These individuals are talking to me about a process. They've had several months to look at this budget. We started this process way back in April. They've had the budget for more than a month. Check this out. Not one new proposal from any of them.
Johnson is blaming the aldermen for not providing alternatives to his terrible ideas. Here's an alternative, genius. Cut spending instead of raising taxes. But that will require actual leadership skills, which Brandon Johnson clearly doesn't have. While Johnson is desperately trying to squeeze more tax money out of Chicago residents, let me tell you about the massive spending scandal that just got exposed at Chicago public schools. They wasted $7.7 million on luxury travel while claiming they need more money for education.
A scathing report from the Chicago Public Schools Inspector General questions millions of dollars spent on travel by city educators.
The Inspector General didn't slice up any words here. They called it travel abuse. We're talking about educators spending tax money on luxury hotels, limousine rides, and international trips that had nothing to do with education.
Some examples. An
Wow.
educator spent $945 a night on a hotel for a Las Vegas conference booked last minute. A professional development trip to South Africa included a wildlife tour that didn't appear to have any educational value.
These people were literally going on vacation with taxpayer money while Johnson claims his city needs more revenue.
District travel spending more than doubled between 2019 and 2024. And keep in mind that CPS announced earlier this year that it faced a more than $700 million budget hole.
This is the kind of fiscal responsibility you get when Democrats run school systems. Spend money on safaris while claiming they need more funding for children. Let me explain exactly why Brandon Johnson is such a disaster as mayor. This is what happens, you guys. Chicago, this is what happens when you elect somebody with zero business experience to manage a $16.7 billion budget.
But that's going to create the kind of atmosphere that will make it difficult for this mayor to pass a budget that doesn't include any cuts and efficiencies.
But Brandon Johnson refuses to cut spending because he doesn't understand basic economics.
People will open their tax bill and they'll get angry and they'll call their elected official and they'll say, what's going on here? Why did my bills go up? They don't want to hear that elected official say, well, you know, we're going to tax you even more this year, but don't worry about it.
And Johnson's solution is to tax them even more. This is political suicide. But Johnson is too incompetent to understand basic cause and effect. Big businesses and budgets like this take years to turn around. But Johnson thinks he can solve everything by taxing cloud computing and social media. This is elementary school level thinking applied to complex municipal finances. Now let me tell you about another one of Johnson's brilliant ideas. schools, raiding TIF funds that are supposed to be used for neighborhood development and using them to plug budget holes. This just shows how desperate and short-sighted his leadership really is.
$500 million of raided TIF funds meant for constructing, repairing schools and school infrastructure are going to CPS to fund the CTU's latest contract and pay for pensions.
This, my friends, is classic robbing Peter to pay Paul on a massive scale.
Chicago is the only municipality in Illinois that uses TIF funds as slush funds for operating expenses. That's not their intended purpose.
Every other city in the state uses these funds for their intended purpose, economic development and infrastructure, but Johnson treats it like his own personal piggy bank.
For every $1, for example, of TIF funds that come out of the Inglewood TIF, the city of Chicago only gets 23 cents on that. The Chicago Public Schools get 50 cents.
When Johnson raids TIF funds from neighborhoods like Inglewood, those communities lose money that was supposed to be invested into their development. This means no new grocery stores, no affordable housing, no infrastructure improvements. Also, Mayor Brandon Johnson can avoid making tough budget decisions. Johnson's tax everything approach is driving businesses out of Chicago faster than you can say head tax. When you tax companies for having employees using cloud computing and posting on social media, you're basically telling them to leave.
The mayor is additionally floating $1.3 billion in borrowing for infrastructure spending. A lot of that would go to alders to use for their desired projects in their wards.
This, my friends, is classic Chicago corruption. Raise taxes on businesses while borrowing money for political favors. The employee head tax is particularly stupid because it literally punishes companies for creating jobs. If you're a business owner, why would you hire more people in Chicago if each employee costs an extra $252 per year in just head tax? This is the kind of economic literacy you get when you elect somebody who's never run a business or managed a budget bigger than a classroom supply fund. Johnson thinks money just magically appears when you raise taxes without understanding that businesses and taxpayers have options. We're literally watching Chicago collapse in real time because Chicago, you elected an elementary school teacher to manage a complex budget. Poor accountability, overspending, and zero oversight have led to this complete failure of leadership.
City has until the end of the year to approve a budget, so why fast track it?
Even Johnson's own allies are asking why he's trying to fast track this disaster of a budget. The answer, my friends, is simple. He knows his ideas are so bad and stupid that the longer that people have to think about them, the more opposition he'll face. Johnson's approach to budgeting is like a kid with a credit card. When you run out of money, just find new things to tax and new ways to borrow. There's no consideration of long-term consequences or economic impact here. The fact that Chicago public schools wasted $7.7 million on luxury travel while Johnson claims the city needs more revenue shows the complete lack of accountability in Chicago government. They're not broke because they don't have enough money. They're broke because they waste the money that they have. America, Brandon Mohawk Johnson's budget disaster perfectly illustrates what happens when you elect somebody completely unqualified to manage a major city. His solution to every problem is to raise taxes and borrow more money while completely ignoring the wasteful spending that created this chaos. Taxing employees, cloud computing, social media, and everything else that moves isn't an economic policy. It's economic suicide. Johnson is literally driving businesses and taxpayers out of Chicago with his desperate tax grab. Meanwhile, Chicago public schools waste millions on luxury travel and safaris while claiming they need more money for education. This is the kind of fiscal responsibility you get when Democrats run government. Spend money on vacations while demanding higher taxes. The city council's overwhelming rejection of Johnson's tax proposal shows that even Chicago Democrats think his ideas are too extreme. When you've lost your own party in one of the most liberal cities in America, you've completely failed as a leader. Johnson's raid of TIF funds meant for neighborhood development shows his complete disregard for communities that elected him. He's stealing money from economic development to fund the teachers' union contracts and government pensions. We're watching Chicago collapse because they put someone with elementary school level thinking in charge of a $16 $16.7 billion budget. This is what
Crazy.
happens when you prioritize political correctness over competent leadership. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Really quickly for a great upload there. I was thinking about doing the paranormal thing, but I'm getting tired. So I think I might save that for tomorrow. I might just save the videos and then just play on tomorrow's show. It's just I'm getting tired, and I had that physical therapy yesterday and the chiropractor at the same time, and I just there's inclement weather coming. The weather's going to be little rain, a lot of rain coming this way tomorrow, and I'm already feeling it. So I'm already like tired and achy and ready to get to bed. So I got one more video for us to watch, and it's coming from our good friend, the friend of the show, with a late upload, actually the 10:15 upload, Tyson De La Cruz. Let's put the volume.
Border Patrol agents descended on North Tryon Street.
Got here, they parked their cars and they were chasing people.
America, Charlotte businesses are literally playing border protection, locking their doors and hiding illegal immigrants from federal agents during Operation Charlotte's Web. We're talking about laundromats, grocery stores, cream shops, and about protecting people who broke our immigration laws than following federal laws themselves. Some of these business owners are claiming they're scared even though they have legal status. But here's what makes this even more ridiculous. An ice cream shop owner is shutting down his business because he doesn't want his employees to quote unquote be profiled, which basically means he hired illegals and got caught. Because here's what nobody wants to admit. This is all the result of Democrat policies where Joey B let everybody in to help their voter base in sanctuary cities.
Yep.
And now legal immigrants and American citizens are suffering the consequences.
Crazy.
And they were chasing people. They were trying to get in the laundromat, like trying to find a place to stay. She let some people in and was able to lock the door before they got anyone.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. When businesses are more worried about protecting illegal aliens than following federal law, you know our immigration system is completely broken. Let me break down what's happening in Charlotte's Hispanic neighborhoods where businesses are literally playing hide and seek with federal immigration agents. These aren't just businesses serving customers. They're actively obstructing federal law enforcement.
250 arrests in 5 days. And the Department of Homeland Security today gave an update on the progress that it's now making in Operation Charlotte's Web.
And businesses are responding by turning themselves into sanctuaries for people who shouldn't be in our country. This isn't compassion. This is obstruction of justice.
They tried getting out the car so they can come, but I ran to the door, so we locked the door, make sure everyone was safe.
Listen to this employee bragging about locking the door to keep Border Patrol agents out. They're treating federal law enforcement like criminals while protecting criminals who violated our immigration laws.
Whenever anyone comes in,
That's
employees
interference.
try
Ain't
on
that
laundromat,
interference?
lock the door behind them.
This laundromat is now locking doors.
No more locked doors.
Behind every customer, like they're running
That's
some
a
kind of
safety hazard.
underground railroad for illegal immigrants. This is what happens when businesses prioritize protecting lawbreakers over following federal law. Now these business owners are crying about their profits being down 20-30% because illegal immigrants are afraid to come out and spend money. But here's my question. If your business model depends on customers who are here illegally, maybe you need to change your business model.
A lot of my clients who are majority immigrants, they're very nervous and scared. Now my laundromat is practically empty, so I have no customers and I have no business.
The laundromat owner is complaining his business is practically empty because his customers are nervous and scared. But if your customers are here legally, what are they scared of? This tells you everything you need to know about his clientele.
They walk to here because they need grocery. This is the closest store they have. And I feel like they're targeting mostly here because you can see they're literally outside.
The employee claiming about Border Patrol is quote unquote targeting their store, but maybe Border Patrol is out there because that's where illegal immigrants are. When you cater to an illegal clientele, don't be surprised when law enforcement shows up.
Today, I get to tell you on why we're closed. As you guys have seen, there have been a huge impact and a huge growth in ICE detentions, Border Patrol presence here in Charlotte, in the Queen City.
This ice cream shop owner is closing down because he doesn't want his employees to be quote unquote profiled. If you read between the lines here, that means that he hired illegals and got caught. You probably hired them because it's cheap, exploitable labor and your business caters to illegals. Here's what really gets me fired up. People with legal status claiming that they're scared and anxious about immigration enforcement. What the heck are you worried about if you're here legally? Honestly, in my opinion, these are probably the same people that used to wear or still wear masks in their car when they're alone.
I feel a lot of anxiety. If I, with legal status, feel anxiety, what is that like for people without protection? It's very sad.
This woman admits she has legal status, but claims she's feeling anxiety. If you're here legally, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Don't run from Border Patrol. Show them your documents and go about your day. This, my friends, is the leftist media manufactured fear, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
Not really. I think what they're doing is really like profiling based on the race. If they see they don't even ask. They just go ahead and take you, and not in the best way.
People claiming Border Patrol is racially profiling people, but that's not how immigration enforcement works. Border Patrol agents are looking for people who are here illegally, not targeting people based on race. If you're here legally, you have documentation to prove it. The fear mongering from the media and activists about profiling is designed to make illegal immigrants sympathetic and make law enforcement look like bad guys or Nazis. But enforcing immigration law isn't profiling, it is doing their job. Now let me tell you about David, the laundromat owner who served in the Air Force and came to this country legally. I can see that he's getting emotional, and honestly, I get it. This is all the result of Democrat policies that have created this mess.
We are all here to live the American dream. And it breaks my heart that this is happening, you know? These people don't want anything but better life. That's all they just want to better themselves.
David is getting emotional because he did everything the right way. He served our country, came here legally, and built a legitimate business. Unfortunately, his clientele is illegal. Now he's watching his businesses suffer because Democrats created a system that rewards illegal immigration.
As a U.S. citizen and Air Force veteran, Rebolloso felt safe to stay open. He says no other Hispanic-owned businesses in the shopping center did the same Monday.
This shows the difference between somebody who's here legally and those who aren't. David's story represents what legal immigration should look like. Serve your country, follow the law, build a business, contribute to your community. But Democrat policies have made legal immigrants like David suffer while rewarding people who broke our laws. Come here legally. My family did it, and millions of other families have done it the right way. Legal immigrants are the ones suffering here. American citizens are the ones suffering here. This is why wages went down, tax dollars got diverted, and housing costs skyrocketed. When you flood the market with illegal workers who will work for below minimum wage, it drives wages down for everyone. When you divert tax dollars to provide services for people who aren't supposed to be here, it takes resources away from American citizens and legal immigrants.
Not there to help my people, to protect my customers.
I get it, the business owner talking about protecting, quote unquote, his people. But what about protecting American law and legal immigrants who did everything the right way? When you prioritize protecting lawbreakers over following the law, you, my friend, are part of the problem. The housing crisis, the wage stagnation, the strain on public services, all of this is directly connected to the mass influx of illegal immigration that Democrats encourage for political gain. Now, I have some free advice for immigrants that you don't have to pay a lawyer for. If you're here legally, you have nothing nothing to worry about. Don't run from Border Patrol. Show them your documents and go about your day. If you're here illegally, also don't run. Make that phone call to your family and let them know that the gig is up. The Trump administration is offering $1,000 and a free plane ticket to go back home voluntarily, with the option to re-enter the United States legally in the future. But if CBP or ICE catches you after you had the chance to leave voluntarily, you will get deported and face banishment from the United States. The choice is yours. Leave with dignity and money in your paquito, or get deported and never be allowed back.
Louisiana? All right, there it is. You remember which hospital? Lakeside or Lakeview. It's over there in Okay, cool. I appreciate you chatting with me, man. St. Charles Hospital, Newland. Okay. All right. And you, ma'am?
My name is Pamela Gabriel.
Huh?
Pamela Gabriel.
Okay. Where were you born at?
Ecuador.
Ecuador?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have a passport and visa?
Yes, sir.
All right. Would you mind if I take a look at it?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
These roofers did the right thing when confronted by Border Patrol. They didn't run. They answered questions. They cooperated. This is how you handle immigration enforcement when you have nothing to hide. Let me address this ice cream shop owner who's closing down because he doesn't want his employees to be quote unquote profiled. My question is, why? If you read between the lines here, that means that he hired illegals and got caught.
So right now, there's a lot of uncertainty. We have shut down. We are an ice cream shop that 80%, 90% of our customers are Latino.
This guy admits that 80 to 90% of his customers are Latino, and he's shutting down because of immigration enforcement. That tells you everything that you need to know about his business model and his hiring practices. You probably hired illegals because it's cheap, exploitable labor, and your business caters to people who are here illegally. Two things, Mr. Ice Cream Shop owner. First, stop hiring illegals to run your business. Second, your business model isn't good anyways. Selling ice cream is a seasonal product. Close down that business and find a new model and product. As a business owner myself, I understand that some business owners are doing what they need to do to stay afloat. Some are offering delivery services and switching up their business to keep it going. Kudos to them for adapting instead of just complaining.
Rebolloso is also doing free laundry pickups and drop-offs for his regulars.
This is smart business. Instead of just complaining about the situation, he's finding ways to serve his customers while staying within the laws. These are the kind of business owners who will survive and thrive. The ones who adapt to changing circumstances instead of just whining about law enforcement doing their job. The businesses that are closing or complaining are probably the ones that built their entire business model around exploiting illegal labor and serving an illegal client base. When your business depends on breaking federal law, don't be surprised when it fails. America, what we're seeing in Charlotte is a direct result of Democrat policies that encouraged illegal immigration for political gain. Now that Trump is actually enforcing our immigration laws, businesses that built their models around illegal labor and illegal customers are panicking. David, the Air Force veteran, represents what legal immigration should look like. Serve your country, follow the law, and build a legitimate business. Businesses that are suffering because Democrats created a system that rewards lawbreakers over law-abiding citizens.
That's wild.
Businesses are locking their doors and hiding illegal immigrants from federal agents are obstructing justice. The ice cream shop owner who's closing down because he doesn't want his employees to be profiled probably hired illegals and got caught. Legal immigrants and American citizens are the ones who suffer when we don't enforce our immigration laws. Wages go down, housing costs goes up, tax dollars get diverted to people who shouldn't even be here. My advice is simple. If you're here legally, you have nothing to worry about. If you're here illegally, take the Trump administration's offer to leave voluntarily with $1,000 and a chance to return legally. Don't wait for ICE to find you. The businesses that adapt and follow the law will survive. The ones that built their models on exploiting illegal labor will fail, and they deserve to fail. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
For awesome, great upload. Yeah, it's kind of crazy with the ICE and the people locking the doors. I mean, that make no sense. Ain't that obstruction? I don't know. Anyways, I'm getting sleepy. I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired. So I'm wrapping it up a little early, which is good. But I feel like I want to get to bed and enjoy this night and enjoy a good night's sleep. So with that said, have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night wherever you're at. I'll catch you on the flip side, and I'll be back on tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, but I'll be back on tomorrow, and we'll go over through the paranormal videos because I got a couple of videos for us to watch. So with that said, have a good night, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.